I apologize for the slight, it was like a 1 minute delay, and that was strictly because my microphone wasn't on, and I had to go in to Open Broadcaster settings and actually turn my microphone on, because I apparently hadn't done that. Not sure what that was all about. So, welcome to my first ever broadcast here on Twitch TV. Well, at least first official broadcast. I did do a little tester out this time last week, but that was just me sort of figuring out the platform and everything like that. So, I hope you guys enjoy tonight. I'm going to be working on a Majora's Mask themed drawing, which just occurred to me that is not zoomed in, and I was zoomed in earlier. And now it is. I gotta double check my settings, since it seems like everything reset and everything like that. But for those of you joining in here this evening, and those of you watching on YouTube later, my name is Ben Yockel. I'm a visual artist living and working just north of Pittsburgh, PA, here in the United States, and I am, by the internet's mentality concerned, a traditional artist. I am a drawer, I am a painter. I don't avoid digital art, but it's not my medium. I prefer the real sensation of that tactile working environment, and it's something I've been doing for a long time, and I love it, and I love every second of it. It's fantastic, and I hope to continue doing so in the future. So I do need to tweak my settings a little bit, and I do apologize for that. I did have this set up beforehand, but it seems like apparently things got reset a little bit. Also, I don't have a super fast internet speed, so video could be a little bit choppy, but as long as the audio's there and you get a couple of good images from time to time, I do hope that is the case. So, if you're new to my work and new to anything that I do, welcome. Welcome to the family, so to speak. I know I probably have a few of my YouTube subscribers coming in to watch over here, as well as people who follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're just joining in, then, that's good too. So be sure to be nice to each other in the chat. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into this. I decided, since this is Twitch and Twitch is gaming oriented, I should do a gaming theory. I should do a game inspired piece to start myself off here on this new platform. So I was recently, going back and playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which is an endless debate among gamers whether or not it's a good game or a bad game. I like it because it's Zelda, but at the same time I hate it and it's infuriating. It took me about 2 weeks to do basically just to get all the masks and play through. I probably a couple dozen heart pieces away from having all of those, but it was worth sitting down and playing again and really enveloping myself in the story. And in doing so, I came across this character, the Garo, or Garo Robe, who I, as a character, I totally forgot about him. Because so much of Majora's Mask was just mirrored Ocarina of Time, a lot of the same character models and everything like that. But then there was this creature, and I was like, this guy would be fun to draw. And so that's what I'm going to be doing for you today. Now, my style of drawing, particularly when I do a video game character, leans to be what is known as chiaroscuro shading, which is basically a lot of heavy graphite, thick, dark pencils, and everything like that. And I gotta flip my screen over here a second, make sure we're good. One thing I do tend to forget about, this kind of goes to when I'm streaming on YouTube, is that I tend to forget about the chat, and I don't want to do that to you guys here, and I certainly don't want to do that going on in the future. So I'll do my best to keep up with the chat as people come in and everything like that. And I'm just gonna keep saying, go ahead and get started on this, but that's life in the studio, is a lot of talking about things and not a lot of actually getting there. I got basically the underlayer sketch done earlier today, so this basically is just me filling things in and really starting to play and have fun. So I will do my best here to kind of talk about what I'm doing as we go. One thing with drawing is it can be exceedingly boring to watch sometimes, so I will try my best to keep up with the narration as well. So one thing that I actually picked up recently is a Surface Pro 3, and you might think, okay, Surface Pro 3, they just released 4, why did you get 3? I got 3 mostly because it was going to be a little bit cheaper. I got a refurbished model and everything like that. So off to the side, my reference image, you probably can't really see it, you just see like the little corner of it, but my reference image is off to the side here, and I'll kind of be tapping that from time to time as well. So, I can't really decide where I want to start with this little guy. I kind of want to start right on his inner mask. I want to get the the darkness of his sort of face done right away, just so it kind of stands out a little bit. So he's got these sort of glowy green eyes, and they're not going to be green in my drawing. They're just going to be more of a white, but I want those to stand out first, just because I think they're what I like about this creature is he's curiously menacing. The glowing eyes in the midst of a dark robe is even glowing eyes in the midst of darkness is something I've always kind of been drawn to. It's just kind of this really unusual, and it's it's that dark mystery and excuse me, man, I'm not used to talking this much. Haven't done a live stream in a while. Excuse me, but this sense of curiousness and at the same time dang, I'm sorry. Anyway, sense of curiosity and sort of this haunting look as well, which I really like. There's an artist on DeviantArt who's has a sort of sub. I say sub-genre. It was a series this artist did. Anyway, the artist's name on DeviantArt is Jolly Jack. Do a lot of that artist does a lot of interesting work, but there was a series a while back that was, I think, called Freak Show, and it's sort of inspired me a lot in creating these really dark creatures with beady little eyes, and this Garo creature kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's just this blank stare, and it could be really innocent, but for some reason when matched with that surrounding dark area and the contrast of it is just terrifying, because I think it really plays into sort of your subconscious a little bit, in that you're really it plays into the sense of mind that you're you know what you're looking at, but at the same time you have no idea what you're looking at, and that can, I think, in some ways really sort of mentally terrifying. I enjoy thrillers a lot more for that reason. So the pencils, I've got 2 of them sitting here, but they're the same pencil. It's the Prismacolor Ebony pencil, and I think Strathmore makes these too. They're not exclusive to Prismacolor, but they're a nice, deep, dark, heavy graphite pencil, and I love using these for drawings. So I want to work on getting the So, the original image I'm going for is basically the original artwork from the game. I think it's actually this particular image, I think, is from the 3DS release. But what I love in particular about the reference I'm using for him is how clean it is. But I think for this particular drawing, I want to play with the idea that this guy's robe is a little more tattered. In the game, these the enemies sort of pop out of the ground, and out of the shadows. And I really want to play with that idea of maybe he's just buried in the ground, waiting for you to come by. So while that's happening, you're getting a lot of the robe itself is going to deteriorate. And so I really want that to kind of show through. So especially when I get to the ending areas on the little frills and stuff at the end, I'm going to really kind of play with getting those to be more tattered and worn out. So I'm leaving some white spaces in here, trying to replicate the basically like this stitching that's around the outer edge of the hood. Everything like that. Sort of coming from the top a little bit, but also a little bit underneath, so that's going to be an interesting challenge to try and get to. And I should probably note that, again, if you're new to my content, I'm a traditional landscaper, so doing a character like this, it's definitely not my strong point, but it is really fun to do one of these every now and then, because it really kind of challenges my hand-eye coordination to some degree. It's like I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just playing around a little bit. His face, I might try and smooth out a little bit more here. Yeah, and I want to keep it nice and dark. Although that's actually turning out alright. I might come in, there's a tool called a blending stump, where if you're not familiar with a lot of traditional techniques, where essentially just kind of picks up some of the graphite and just smooths it out, makes it nice and clean. So he's got this sort of design on the center of the cloak, which is really fun, and I know I'm not going to be able to replicate it perfectly, but I do want to play with that idea. It has a red center and like these gold outer accents. So again, I'm not playing with color, so I have to kind of think a little bit on how I can really highlight it, make it feel like it's there and standing out and everything like that. So leaving some white spaces. There's a lot of shadow in this too. I want to make sure I capture that, because the folds, in particular, the folds in fabric are a relatively difficult thing to draw if you're not used to doing it. It can take a lot of practice. A lot of times, if you're drawing a still life, that actually really helps out to understand how fabric really kind of comes together, because you're practicing. Then when you do a piece like this, or maybe even a piece not like this, you can really work with another medium, just other styles in this case. You can understand how the folds work by doing a still life, and then you can take it to a project like this and just really have fun. I'm improvising a little bit. I'm not going directly off of my reference image. I am allowing some wiggle room a little bit, and you know, you have to some degree. Um, at least in my mind, in order to make it fun, you can't just directly copy it. You got to have a little extra fun in here with some different things. So if you're just joining in, welcome to my first big Twitch stream. Working on Garo robe from Majora's Mask, just a little character drawing to kind of break the ice here with this community. I'm a traditional landscape painter, but I do have a great admiration for video game art and you know, gaming communities and things like that. So really testing the waters here and seeing the general response, basically. Mostly just outlining right now. I mean, I can, you know, playing a little bit with my shadows, but just really trying to get the more bold areas here and start building that the shapes and things. And this drawing in general isn't going to take a super long amount of time, but I do want to pace myself at least enough that I'm not going overboard. Gotta start shading with some of these folds here now. Then I'm going to come back in with an eraser and kind of clean some of this up once I get sort of my main areas taken care of. And I haven't really decided yet. I might hit the entire robe with a blending stump and just smooth the whole thing out. It's not something I normally do when I do a drawing like this, but I think I really want to play with that idea of the fabric a lot more. So if you're watching and joining in, something like that, you can find more of my work online here. You go to my website, cinderblockstudios.com. Also follow me on Twitter at cinderblockarts. The links to both of those are below this video in a little box. You can also find my channel on over on YouTube, where I do painting and mostly painting stuff. Acrylic painting tutorials, so if you ever wanted to learn how to paint, just really want to start from square one, all the stuff I have on my channel there is usually a good place to start. Outside of that, I have a number of time-lapse videos showcasing some of my work, some of which is, actually most of which I think is available from my header here on Twitch. There's the Majora's Mask digital painting, the PS3 Journey piece, which was done in chalk pastel. Now there's this Majora's Mask Garo robe. It's about time to rotate this. I've also got this piece off to the side here. And this is a piece of Duralar, which is a clear plastic film. The problem with this plastic film, though, is it glares a lot, you know, on a camera. So on the other side of this is just a piece of tissue paper, which, granted, there are actually two different sheets. But I'm using the tissue paper side tonight just so I don't get the glare from the webcam. So what I loved about doing game characters in this heavy graphite style is that I'm allowed to kind of shift towards realism a little bit more, and add that extra bit of contrast to it to kind of make it seem a little bit more like a little more like it's sort of popping out of the page and coming to life, which is always really fun. Because it's a character, whether that be like a cell shaded character, or just a straight up cartoon line over line. I love being able to bring a little extra life into every character I draw. I think I will take a blending stump to this. Keep it light though. I don't want to overpower it with the blending as quite as much. Oh, that's looking good. Okay. It's rare that I can really get excited about a piece too, because a lot of times I'm like, it looks like crap. But can really kind of play around a little bit with some of these. Darken a few of these folds here. Really kind of get up and under them. Play around with where those are sitting too. Looks good. So I imagine this little drawing isn't going to take me all night. In fact, it's probably not going to take me any more than about another 30-40 minutes. But after this, I have some watercolor paper sitting off the side. We're going to start playing around with color after this. Bound to be really fun. So look forward to that in a little bit. If you think this is too dry, too bland, I do have a bit of color coming your way a little later this in the evening here. So again, if you're just joining in, welcome. Hanging out here on Twitch today. You can find more of my work at cinderblockstudios.com as it becomes available, as well as links to my profile pages on everything from Facebook to Twitter, and as well as all my many painting tutorials on YouTube, which as of late has been my main platform. But trying out this thing on Twitch today, seeing how the community is here, and hopefully getting a little bit of crossover between Twitch community, artists, gamers, and everybody else, because that's really important too. So that's looking pretty good. Set this aside, stand up for a minute. I gotta check my social media links here, so I'll be back momentarily. Alright, so let me get back to drawing here. Just wanted to check on a few of my pages and everything like that. Also, I've been down here working in my studio for probably a good 12 hours. At least I've been down here 12 hours. I haven't necessarily been working for 12 hours. A lot of stuff in between there, like lunch and GoldenEye on the 64, but anything I can do to kind of break up my day a little bit, because I do not have the attention span to be working on something for 8 hours. At least usually. Occasionally I can, push through it, but most of the time I'm a little more easily distracted. It appears my tablet went to sleep. I guess it sat for too long by itself. There we go. Another thing that I added is the under part of the robe here. What didn't exist. It was just sort of the front part of the robe, and I really wanted to kind of show the underside a little bit more, because I wanted to get that idea that underneath the robe is just it's more hollow, so it has a little extra depth to it than simply the character. And I'm actually a little bit impressed with myself on the legs here, which you at this point probably can't see anymore since I have the darker contrast of the graphite here now. But I'm moving to that section right now, so you'll be able to see them. And actually, but before I move on, I think I will pull it up the first sketch I did of this, which I didn't plan out well enough, and it's actually much larger than I wanted it to be. And basically, it's just the robe and the face, and I got the sort of sword arms kind of got cut off, which was really unfortunate. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start over and work on this from the beginning again. And I planned it out a little bit better. I made started with more of a stick figure, and I really pushed on that idea of proportion, because it's something I tend to overlook quite a bit. This whole thing has a big shadow coming down off it. Kind of had like little elf shoes. They're pointy, which I thought was fun. The other one is that the shoes are more like a ribbed leather, which was pretty interesting. So really trying to get that, trying to capture that was a little more interesting for me, because that's, again, it's not nothing about a character like this is something I do on a regular basis. So it's a little more trying to just figure out how everything works. Just because it's, again, I'm so far out of my element doing a character like this. But again, really fun to make that challenge and to do that kind of thing from time to time. That looks pretty good. Have a lot more of a shadow on this side. So again, we kind of have this leather strap from like the lower leg down to the shoe. So I want to play with those lines. Almost like if you took a bandage and sort of wrapped it around, or a piece of cloth. That's kind of what this character's legs look like. So I really kind of have to play with and imagine how this would look. At least using graphite anyway, because it's such a different. I'm going from like a digital rendered image from into graphite, so I have to play with things a little bit to get them to kind of really work and come together. And again, if you're not used to drawing, if you're not an artist or whatever, doing anything outside of your comfort zone is super useful in just learning in general how things work to some degree. I kind of have this mentality when I'm working on something. It's like I'm not working on a piece of art for. I don't want to say I'm not doing it for X reason, because I can't think of X reason right now. One reason why I do what I do is just trying to understand how things work, which sounds a little bit stupid to some degree. It's like you can read about it or figure out the functions of the cells of an object or something, but it's like that's nice, but that doesn't tell me how it works. Until I draw it, I don't know how it works. So it's really so for me, drawing or painting is really just an exploration of how objects looks and why they look the way that they do. I think it's a really fun way of going about things, at least to some degree. All right. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my blending stump. And a blending stump is basically just a compressed piece of paper. It's like a cardboard that just if you powdered up paper and then compressed it, that's what a blending stump is. So I'm just going to start up around the hood area, maybe behind it, up on the shoulders. I'm just kind of pulling that graphite around a little, trying not to disturb things too much. But again, I'll come back in with my eraser in just a bit and really kind of clean things up. But just play around with that a little bit more there. And this is a really useful tool if you're doing portraits. You want to be sure that you can capture the sort of soft skin tones. I can take it right into the face of this creature now and really kind of smooth that out. Oh yeah, that looks good. I'll definitely have to come back in here with the eraser and lighten this back up. But I was saying, oh yeah, blending in the skin tones. If you ever wonder, oh, how does an artist do that with the softness of the face? It's probably a blending stump. It's not magic. There's a practical application to everything. That's looking much better. And I think I'll leave the legs and the arms a little rougher. That way you're gonna get that difference in contrast and difference in texture to really make it feel like, you know, one's a robe and one's, you know, an actual, not an actual object. They're all actual objects, but they have a little more substance to them. You know, the cloak is flowy. It's really gonna just kind of sit on top of everything a little bit. About like that. Okay, so now, if you're unfamiliar with this is called a kneaded eraser. It's kind of like silly putty. You can pull it and reshape it. And it's designed to pick up heavy graphite, like this. So, you know, from this, we're going to take and pull up some of the stuff we just blended to kind of figure out where that light's hitting. So based on my reference image, there's light coming basically from the outer edge of the figure. There's some coming down from the top, which is sort of the natural light, and then there's some artificial light coming up from the bottom, which we'll do just by a couple little small highlights. Really just kind of pinching that eraser to make that a nice edge to it, basically drawing with the eraser. Okay, we're gonna play with the details of the design a little. Also a little bit up around the collar here, which I didn't really make note of before, but I do when I do a little bit now. Yeah, that's coming together nicely. So again, we're going to take this up. Upper side here, just kind of bringing some light back in. Anywhere that there was one of these dark folds, I'm basically going to coming in on the upper edge of to kind of pull up the contrast a little bit. Then I'll come back in with a pencil later and just kind of clean it up. Just really making this stuff kind of stand out. There's a little bit down here that I'm going to pull out on top a little more. And then again, come back in with that pencil and just clean it up a little. Right about like that. bit down in here. Okay, so at this point, it's a little bit of darkening in to a few different places, getting, again, rebuilding that contrast in a couple areas, and really just trying to clean my lines up a little bit. I play with this concept called line weight, which is anything that's on top. For example, this cloak is coming down on top of the sword, so I want that line to be a little bit more bold. So I'll darken that line and make it a little bit wider. And to the edges of the sword too, I want to really make those stand out. So this comes on top of that. I want to darken that edge. This is on top of the legs, so we want to make sure those lines are nice and bold. A little extra work in the design here. Almost looks like he's wearing a necktie, which is kind of hilarious. This upper line here is a little messy. I'll just clear that up. A little too much fix. Oh, I made a big mess. Huh, hello. Alright. That looks pretty good. Clean that up a little. Now I did make a little bit of a background here. There's some real gray cliffs in the back, which may not even be visible. But also gave him a bit of a baseline to stand on. So I'll work on finishing that up in just a bit here. Let me work on the last sword arm, whatever. That's the one thing I could never figure out about these guys. If they actually have arms and hands, or are the swords just part of their arms? I mean, if the swords are part of their arms, that is, really badass. But I'm not really sure. I don't know if it was ever specified in the game. I think they were sort of just meant to be ghostly figures. There we are. That looks pretty good. Now. Alright, so, if you're just joining in, welcome. This is my first sort of big main Twitch stream. My name is Ben Yockel. I'm an artist living and working north of Pittsburgh, PA, here in the United States. And tonight I'm working on some Majora's Mask themed drawings and things like that. I see a few people coming up in the comments, so welcome. You can find more of my work on my website, cinderblockstudios.com, but in the meantime, I'm just going to keep plugging away on this drawing, having a look at things, and everything like that. Sir Slappy McGee is asking, is this graphite or charcoal? This is graphite. This is specifically heavy graphite. Earlier in the show I was talking about my supplies, but again, it's live, can't go back, really. These are Prismacolor ebony pencils. They're a heavy graphite. My absolute favorite pencils to work with for a video game-inspired piece. And this is definitely a project that really kind of shows the true colors, I guess you could say, of the graphite. So, yeah, really one of my favorite mediums like that. I'm also using a blending stump to kind of, at least that's what I was using to kind of blend out the cloak of the figure itself. So yeah, good question though, because this heavy graphite does lend itself to being. It can look like charcoal because of how thick and heavy it is. King of Bums. King of Bums 123 Trinico. That's a viewer from my YouTube channel. So welcome. Good to see you here. Very unusual username. I have to remember that. It's pretty hilarious. So yeah, I had to keep plugging away on this thing. Actually, I'm getting close to being done. I should probably work on another one. I didn't plan ahead enough. I mean, I do have some other projects I need to do, or rather want to do to some degree. But so yeah, working on this little guy. So more sort of, I can say spoilers. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Different things with this character is that one of the places that they'll pop up is around a circle of stones in the game. So I decided to basically draw in a circle of stones for this character, and I thought that would be a really fun, place to draw this character into. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put my horizon in, about like that. Oh yeah, I want to get the shadows underneath him too. The shadows, I'm honestly just guessing on what kind of shadow this creature would cast. I'm getting a circle underneath the 1 foot from the back that's sort of lifted up. Basically, because I wanted to put that there just because I didn't want I didn't want to make it look like he was just sort of I don't want to say dancing, but like just have a 1 foot back, because the feet are about the same size. I need to make it look like it's actually kind of floating up in the air. So adding that extra shadow is going to be really important for that. And then it's just sort of giving it a little extra underneath him, sort of basically a little V-shaped area, and then a little bit around his shoe on this side. Shoe, foot, I don't know. What can you call a spirit that just has a thing there? Let me pull it up a little. There we are. That looks okay. Again, imagining the light's coming a lot more from the top than anywhere up on the sides. So that shadow's going to be casting down and everything like that. Let me get my circle of stones going. And, outside of this, again, if you're just joining in, I'm more of a landscape painter. So doing a project like this is kind of out of the ordinary for me. So in making all these little rocks, I'm probably going to enjoy shading in the rocks more than I shaded in the character, just because that's how strange I am. You're like, oh yeah, rock, awesome. I get so excited about just like the shape of little rocks and stones. At least more so than I probably should. Yeah, so we gave him a little circle of stones there. Give him a little extra one there. So again, light from the top. Play a lot with this undersides of this. Remember, you can always draw better when you start adding sound effects. Little bits in there. Okay. I kind of work that in and together. I think I will show off a couple other drawings I did in here as well. Once I finish this up, I've got a Metroid in here that's really fun. If you haven't already guessed, I'm a Nintendo kid. It's not that I don't play other things, it's just that, you know, when you grow up with something, kind of sticks, makes a little impact in your life to some degree. I thought about putting a little floating tingle up in the corner, but I was like, no, let's just stick to one character for today. Alright, it looks pretty good. Let me clean up this area. I have sort of spread that graphite around a little too much before. I mean, even with my acetate sheet, I ran into some issues with that. I don't want to have that. Don't want to have my background really toned. I just kind of need that nice white backdrop and everything like that. Brush for this. My headphones only go so far. Get all those little fuzzies out of the way. Alright. That looks pretty good. I can still probably clean this up just a little bit more, but things aren't going well. Oh, the chat's starting to get going. Awesome. So, welcome everybody, if you're just joining in. Working on Majora's Mask themed piece tonight, which I'm just finishing up. Bound to have some other projects going in just a little bit here. Start having fun a little bit more after that, but I thought this would be a really good sort of introductory piece, at least for me in general. So yeah. Someone's saying you're seeing a black screen. That's really, really weird. Might just be a problem on your end. The ads, of course. The ads. So yeah, I'm relatively new to Twitch in terms of streaming and everything like that. I do most of my content creation on YouTube. I've been doing weekly videos over there on my YouTube channel for three years that I've been doing at least one a week. Usually two a week actually. So I decided to come over here to Twitch and introduce myself over here and really start to play around a little bit. So I think someone in there was also asking about any plans for the sky. I'm just going to leave the sky blank. I'm considering bringing my background rocks up a little bit more though, and as much as I didn't want to switch away from my thick dark pencils, I will need something a little bit later for that. So something like a 1B will probably work really well here. So let me play around a little here. And plus I'm going to get some harder pencils in here and kind of clean this up a little more, get some additional lines in and everything like that. But so let me play with this backdrop a little bit more here. Not being as precise with my sort of canyon rocks, at least not. I don't want to force myself into like, oh, they have to be exactly the same ones from the game, and I can force myself to, not force myself, I can let myself play a little bit more and stick to something a little more comfortable with for this. So yeah, really just kind of putzing at this point. Generally cleaning up the drawing. Oh, that already looks 1,000 times better just outlining that. And also, I want to apologize if my head gets in the way. Something I try and avoid, but a lot of times I'm standing and working. It doesn't always happen. So Slappy, what is my streaming schedule? I don't have one here yet. I would like to do a Twitch stream once a month. I think that would be a good starter. Probably a good goal for 2016 as well. So probably like the first Saturday of every month, unless I put something out on Twitter saying that I can't do it. But so yeah, I'm thinking first Saturday of the month, and usually it's an afternoon or an evening, at least in terms of U.S. Eastern Time. So a lot of times, even if I'm streaming on YouTube, it's 7:30 p.m. So I'll probably end up just sticking with that. So unofficially, first Saturday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is probably going to be the schedule for my streams here on Twitch and everything like that. And I do want to try and do more of my my video game character drawings, because they're really fun to do. I don't do them enough. I've done, I don't know, maybe like half a dozen over the course of the past couple years. And it's like, oh yeah, I should really do more nerd art. That's what I call it. I don't call it fan art, I call it nerd art. Just because I'm goofy like that. So yeah, welcome to those of you just joining in. Working on a Majora's Mask themed drawing for the time being, I should say, because I've been working on it for the past hour now, just sort of cleaning things up for the time being. I'm going to play with watercolor in a little bit, get some fun washy layers and things going on. And then we'll see what else, see what the rest of the night brings as we move along and everything like that. Also, yeah, if there's a few of you in there in the comments have been asking questions, go ahead and ask me questions, anything you want to know about either what I'm working on, traditional art in general, painting, drawing. I am an open book. And I love to, interact with just either, aspiring artists or just fans of the arts and everything like that. And, being I don't want to say a heavy gamer, I'm more of a mid-range gamer, and definitely a classic gamer. I love stuff from like 2004. Well, really not all the way before. I love the 90s era games, Super Nintendo era stuff is some of my favorite old JRPGs and anything that tells a good adventure story. And I think that's, I was going back and playing when I was replaying Majora's Mask again, and kind of got inspired to do this little guy. I was like, just as frustrating as Majora's Mask is, it is still a really fun adventure. Which is, I guess, what keeps me coming back to it every now and then. So yeah, let's see, we have another question in there. The transparent paper I'm using. Yes, this stuff is super useful. Let me get the pad out. I do have a quick tip on my YouTube channel about this stuff, but I will talk about it briefly right now. So this stuff, when I was we gotta preface it with a story now, because that's what I do. I used this stuff in high school called acetate, and it's a clear plastic film. which is actually what this is, roughly what I'm using now. So it's essentially a clear plastic film, which is really great to rest your hand on, in that it doesn't obscure the drawing. You know, you can lay it down and work, and your hand and the piece of paper you're using doesn't block what you're working on, which is huge, especially if you're doing any kind of video work. Now the reason and when you get this stuff, it comes, you get about, I got 25 sheets in my pack. This stuff's called Duralar. It's not actually acetate, it's an alternative to it. I don't even know if they make acetate anymore. I get the feeling it was probably harmful to some degree. But you get essentially these clear plastic sheets with like little tissue paper in between them. And you can usually just peel the tissue paper right off. But for this, rather than having all this glare on my drawing, I just flipped it over, and I'm using, have the plastic facing down and have the tissue paper facing up. So you guys can mostly see what I'm working on without having the glare. It's really, really useful stuff. Definitely worth picking up if you're an artist and you do have that problem with dragging your hand across the page. So again, Duralar or acetate or whatever, clear plastic film, super, super useful. Good question. Love talking about my supplies. I don't know why. I don't know why that's so much fun for me. It shouldn't be. Well, I don't want to say it shouldn't be, but it's, I don't know. I feel like I should get more excited about things that are, I don't know, mean a little more. It's gonna be a really terrible example, but using, it's like a social justice thing. It'll be like, yeah, we're gonna end world hunger, and I'm like, yeah, paint, you know. I get just as excited about the stuff that I use as you know, it is about, like, you know, having a deep conversation. Like, that's really exciting for me, but so's working on stuff and talking about what I use and talking about how awesome, like, graphite and paint and everything is. It's the curse of an artist. Bring that little light in, a little more light back into here, because I want that to stand out. That's good. Get a little bit darker. That looks pretty good. I know I'm gonna move this and rest my hand on it and make a mess eventually. Because that's what I do. Clumsy Ben. Alright. Basically just a little cross-hatching now in some of these areas, just to bring a little extra texture in. Making sure there's movement in his cloak. I get the feeling that, you know, he just lifted his swords up and it's flowing a little bit more. So I gotta play with those folds a bit. Alright. I'm feeling good. Feeling pretty good about this. Might want to start wrapping it up. The drawing, anyway, not the stream. I'm actually still probably pretty good on streaming for a while. I didn't think I'd actually be going this long. I was like, oh yeah, probably like an hour. But you know what? I'm just gonna keep plugging away at stuff. A lot of projects I've been doing. A lot of projects I haven't been doing. I've got 2 projects in particular that I have to have done. One I have to have one done before Christmas. The other one I have to have done by the end of the year. And I'm nowhere close on either of them. That's not true. I'm close. I'm just not as close as I want to be. Alright. Just clean my baseland up again. That's the thing is you're not completely foolproof using the plastic from spraying the graphite around, but is better than just your bare hand. So yeah, just clean that up. Alright. Oh my. You're very active there in the comments. You have 2 big Zelda posters on your wall. Oh man, I'm so jealous. You wish more YouTubers used that paper. You don't even know what paper I'm using. How could you say that? Something other than printer paper. Yeah, printer paper is garbage. I do not understand how anybody uses printer paper to draw, and it's so bad. I guess if you don't know any better, but to the same degree, it's like, oh god, it's so bad. It's not even worth having. It's like, how could you possibly draw on this? Yeah, so I've got a couple of things I can probably show off. I don't know if I can get to that from here. I did a, let's try. We'll have to have a look. So I'm probably gonna sign this piece here, and show off a bit of my other stuff to you guys that are watching here. Good, I was able to reach this. So I did this, 3 years ago, and it was one of the first sort of Majora's Mask pieces I did. I basically took the poster and the main art for it, and I did a painting of it. And this was really fun to do. And looking back on it, I can do so much better now. Like, I should really try this again, because this is kind of terrifying the way this looks. It's probably looks okay on the stream, but honestly, it's like, oh damn. Probably because I did some stuff with paint and then I went back in with pen and it didn't layer well. Yeah, it's a neat little piece. I'm gonna leave that here for a minute, because I know how this works. I'll move it away, and somebody goes, "Oh, I didn't see it." So let me sign this guy. And it's December now. I gotta think about what month it is so I can sign with the right date. Alright, let's put some of my stuff away. Okay, these go on the shelf. So yeah, that's that piece anyway. Move this back. So yeah, I'm calling Garo robe done. In theory, I could probably sit and work on it for another 20 minutes, just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. But honestly, any more than that, and you're just looking at you know, endless sketching, and I try and avoid that to some degree. I like to actually be able to call something done. Just go, oh, it's not done, it's not done, it's not done. I'm like, just call it done. Move on. Work on another piece, you know. Alright, so. Actually, what is the first Saturday of next month? First Saturday is the 2nd. It'll be right after New Year's. So yeah, that'll probably work out well. Provided I'm not working that weekend. So yeah, again, so those of you that aren't really familiar with a lot of my stuff, while I am a professional artist, I work a day job. So, you know, I'm very busy, you know, working during the week, and then weekends, and, you know, occasional evenings. I've got my art to occupy my time, which is just really, really fun. So yeah, I'm gonna set this aside, and don't need the tablet anymore, so I can shut that down. Oh, what did? Actually, no, I don't need to do that. Just shut down from here. Yep. Okay. Dropping stuff all over the floor. Okay. So, let's see if we can play with some color for a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and sit my Majora off to the side here. Oh yeah, before I do that, a couple of the drawings that were in here. We've got Metroid. It was on the first page. Again, this one really fun to do. Great project. Just again, another example of the kind of the kind of heavy graphite kind of drawings I like to do. We had a bad guy from Super Nintendo series game Kirby Superstar, Rocky, as it was, basically the rock enemy. Another one really fun to do. I mean, like, this is, you know, really a cartoony style, but when you apply the heavy shading to it, it just adds something to it that is so much fun. I love working on it. And now we just have Garo robe, so I haven't done quite as many. I have a couple of older pieces that are a bit larger, but yeah, so everything like that. So I'm gonna set that stuff aside. The acetate we can ditch. I keep calling it acetate, it's not, but whatever. And let's play with some color now, because color is fun. So we gotta tape down our paper, which is good. I think I may have scared some people away, like, oh my god, he's done, okay, I'm gone. Oh well. They'll be back. But not till I'm done. Aw, shitty tape. Nothing like old tape to rip while you're working on it. Now I get to find the end of the tape. End of the tape! I think it would be fun to scan this drawing and maybe do some layering digitally. I think that could be really interesting side project. I don't have all my equipment down here to scan and work on that, though. Maybe that'll be a fun project for next month. If I do that, then again, that also implies that I don't get anything else done, at least anything prepped until then. But again, I don't know. I'm really just... Ooh, hello. And that's not going to be good. That's not good. Okay, so we gotta make sure that's tamped down as much as possible. Alright. So, let's see what we can play with watercolor. So we get that, we get some water. Brush. Let's see, I want to play with a blue. I've got this really funky blue color here. Oh, hello. I think I'll stream for another 15 minutes or so, unless I see a nice windfall of viewers. Move that down a little further here. We're just going to get some of this funny bluish green color. And just start plastering that on there. Looks pretty good. We'll grab a little darker stuff. Ultramarine's always fun. Just bring some of that into the corner. Oh yeah, look at that. Haha. Could do a blue wash, and then I could do like an ink silhouette of like Sora Link. Although probably not all tonight, because that would involve waiting like 3 hours for the stuff to dry completely, and then throwing a sealer coat on it. And I'm a purist. I like nice things. I'm sorry. Alright, then we get some yellow in the corner to really kind of bring some light into this. Well, it won't be yellow by the time we sort of really bring it into the piece. It'll be a little greener. Because my bluer, since my water's real blue here. This is actually kind of ended up looking a little more like an ochre, which is interesting. I know a lot of you probably aren't artists and have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of color, but it makes me happy, so deal with it. Yeah. So I want to just kind of pull this around. Wipe some of it off as I go. Like just wiping it right on my pants. But hey, they're painting pants, that's what they're for. My shirt and everything, just wiping it down. That's nice, I like that. Just need that little extra. This yellow. Actually, I'm going to get a little extra water here. We're going to just dab on that yellow right on our little page, and then that bit of color is going to go quite a long way. Just a little bit of clean water there. Ooh, that's way darker than it should have been. Well, that's okay. We can make it work. Maybe add a little bit of spray paint on either end. Alright. Now we get to play in a different thing. Okay, that's good. Alright, so what else we got? Gonna do a little bit of subtraction here. Chunk. Just kind of gets a nice tones and things. Now we can rip our edges off. And I'll trim this down to being a little bit smaller. It's like roughly a 6x9 right now, and then I'll trim it down to a 5x7. And then things will kind of start to pop out a little bit more. But before we do that, we're gonna again play a little. Oh, what do I want to do with this one? I don't know. I'm leaning towards white, because white's interesting. We get a little white, and we get a little, I don't know. Get a stiff brush in here, and we're gonna make a wonderful mess. Little splatteries, in particular, which ought to be fun. So I'm just gonna kind of come in here. They're kind of like stars, little star belts. A lot more in the blue section. It kind of slowly fades into the yellow. And then, once you get the little ones, you can play with it, essentially finger painting, and get a couple of bigger ones. Okay, and I'll end up doing something with that in a little bit later. And it just occurred to me this would be really good to do, since we're, again, still have this here. So I want to use this little bit of leftover white acrylic to add some final highlights to our figure here. So I'm actually going to do it to his eyes. Make his eyes really stand out, make that really bright. Actually, my white's a little bit blue, but honestly, shouldn't be able to tell the difference. So we're just gonna bring it in. And about like that. Now his eyes really stand out away from everything else. Alright, well, I think that's going to be wrapping things up for me here today. Thank you for those of you who joined in for my first Twitch broadcast. Again, schedule's not, that's leaking, set in stone right now, but I'm thinking the first Saturday of every month, I'll likely be streaming here on Twitch from 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to whenever. This video also will be, once it finishes, it will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can, if you missed anything, you can go watch it there, probably tomorrow morning, whenever that goes to where it goes. Which ought to be, pretty neat, pretty fun. To kind of come back in there later. Also, be sure to check out more of my work on my YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure it's listed in in the box below, but if it's not, I'll be sure to get it there as soon as I can. Also, be sure to check out more of my work at cinderblockstudios.com. As you can probably already tell just from my tone of voice, I'm very tired. I got up about 7 o'clock this morning, so I'm very, very, very tired. Heading to bed soon, hopefully. So yeah, that about wraps up the show for today. Be sure to head over to my Twitter at CinderblockArts to be updated whenever I upload a new video over to YouTube, as well as getting essentially the first response knowledge of when I will be streaming, because a lot of times I don't even know when I'll be streaming. So if you go and you follow me on Twitter at CinderblockArts, you'll be updated with all kind of new notifications whenever something new comes out, whether that be a video or a live stream or whatever. So be sure to again follow me there. Follow me here on Twitch, because that's really cool. And tell your friends. I can pretty much guarantee this is unlike any kind of regular stream that you'll see outside of, probably not outside of Twitch, but outside of your regular gaming content. I'm a mid-range gamer myself. I love 90s era RPGs. I love adventure games in particular that span even beyond 90s era stuff. I'm a Nintendo kid. I love. I say kid. I'm in my 20s. I still call myself a kid sometimes. When I say Nintendo, I'm like, oh, I'm a Nintendo kid. It's great. But yeah, so again, thanks all of you for joining in. Thanks for those of you who joined in the chat, in the conversation as well. Be sure to follow me here on Twitch. Head over to my website, cinderblockstudios.com, for all that kind of fun stuff. Be sure to check out more of my work, especially because, again, this sort of graphite drawing, not super representational of a lot of my normal painting work. I think next month I'll probably be working on one of my bigger paintings, which leans to be... The way I sort of describe the work that I do is it's the techniques used in digital concept art, only I apply them to traditional acrylic painting. So really hope you can come back to see me again. So thanks for watching, and this has been from Cinderblock Studios. See you guys next time.